So I met this kid once from the big city. He said he had a big old family, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Well, let me tell you something, son. That ain't but the wings on a fly. See, I was growing up with 12 brothers and plenty of sisters besides. My brothers, they had to work my beer slide in the fields and with the animals. But then my daddy gave me a coat with all them colors. My brothers, they was really jealous. But then I started having dreams, like God had big plans for me or something. One day, my brother said to me,
Joseph! Joseph, come to the field with us today.
Well, I went, but it was not all it was cracked up to be. Mainly because they tossed me into a pit.
With the heat and the hole, we want to let you go.
Come on, man, no! Then they sold me to some slavers in Egypt. Right then, I learned that God's plan for me might not be all hunky-dory all the way.
Well, my story is quite different, you see. I was not to be preacher. I was not to speak for you, just like a fool. I was the one who said, oh no, I was not to be preacher. But never, you cannot die. That will never happen to you. No. For 3 years I followed Christ. I had seen all the miracles, but I thought I was ready for my future. The plans he had for me, I would be at his right hand. But when he told me, Peter, you will
Deny me.
Never, my Lord. I will go with you to the death.
At least they knew they were destined for something. I was just a little girl in a city called Jerusalem a long time ago. My family was poor. Not, maybe we'll get that new dress next month. Poor, but if you don't get up there and make some money, nobody's going to eat. Poor. So this is what I did. Most called me a prostitute. Mama called me Rahab. Everybody looked at me as if I was the last person who could ever do anything that mattered. Doesn't matter. But God knew the plans he had for me. So when the strangers showed up, please, we are not from the city, and asked, may we say tonight that we have very little to give? I saw something very special in them. They told me of their God, that I am in all the plans he has for his chosen people. But then the soldiers came.
Spies in the city. Hand them over.
Anyone who quarters them will be hanged.
How could I cover up for spies?
How can I believe God's plan for me as Potiphar's slave? I mean, sure, I did pretty good for a farm boy. Well, actually, I was in charge of the whole kit and caboodle. But his wife was a mite, though. Let's just say she took a liking to me.
Come with me tonight, Joseph, and we will.
I got out of there faster than bees from a shaking hive. Didn't get far, though.
My own wife?
Well, don't that just beat all. But what's a fella to do? You guessed it, jail. Looked an awful lot like that pit, too.
Peter, Jesus said to me,
Before the rooster crows, you will deny me, not once, but 3 times.
and it wasn't until the night of his crucifixion, that most terrible of nights, that I learned who I really was.
You were with Jesus, the Galilean, too.
No!
This man is with Jesus the Nazarene.
Never!
You certainly were one of them.
And then I began to curse. I do not know man! And then the rooster crowed.
The next morning, I hid them, and I helped them escape. But they promised that me and my family would be saved.
I was finally saved when God gave me the interpretation to Pharaoh's dream. The rest, as they say, is history.
I had betrayed my Lord. But he wasn't finished with me. And on the day of Pentecost, when he began to baptize us not with water, but with fire, and the crowds had gathered, and I felt it. And as the Spirit spoke through me, I preached to thousands. And I realized that the Lord,
He will guide you.
he will make you.
He will break you.
But he will never forget, no matter your past.
How small you feel.
Or how bad it looks.
I know the plans I have for you, declared the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future.